right. Hey, good morning, Renny Doyle Podcast, and we are live. We've got a couple of special guests with us today. But before we do that, Chris, you feeling yesterday a little bit, last night?
Yeah, well, it was a long day for us. I got home at about 10:30 last night, but we went out to Corona, California, visited Uber Detail, and we helped them host the first ever Legend ceramic coating certification event.
Shit. So this was not a training; it was an opportunity for detailers to show us what they've got, so they can get listed as a certified provider. So yeah, we got. I'm talking slow. I've got caffeine. I actually made a press this morning, so it's pretty wicked. But yeah, I got home about 11, but I had to drive up, man. There was nobody on the road, so I am not implying to broke the speed limits on the way home. Nor did my car still smell like clutch and tires when I got out this morning. So okay, Chris, you got
that. You go.
I've seen now. This is a shirt I've seen before because you got like 900 of those things. So
yeah,
what this time?
Well, this is a Ferrari 250 GTO.
Pretty cool car.
I think they made only like 36 of them, and they believe that they're still all out there. That every one of them still exists.
Wow!
But here's the cool part. I don't have my notes in front of me right now. The guy that owns, I think it's David McNeil, that owns WeatherTech floor mats. Apparently, there's good money in floor mats. He bought one of these for $70 million.
I'm in the wrong business.
They think it's the most expensive car ever sold, at least that they know of.
Wow, $70 million. Yep. I know of one that sold for more, but I can't talk about it. You know about it. You've heard the story. It's in Germany. I can tell you that. Seen it. I've touched it. Pretty cool. So, you know what? 70 million. Good for him. I mean, he's somebody, an entrepreneur that went out and he or she makes it happen, and they spend $70 million.
Yeah.
I know this. I've contributed to WeatherTech, being able to do that. So he probably, I don't know, maybe $4 went to the Ferrari, so good for him though. So we've got a couple special guests on. We're waiting for Jackson. We're going to start up with Deborah. So Chris, you want to read her bio real quick for those that don't happen to know her, which you should. If you're in this industry,
I'm embarrassed.
No,
you're embarrassed. Well,
cool.
This is our guest this morning is Deborah Gorgos. I pronounced that right?
Mm-hmm.
Did I? Okay, good. So she's been writing about the detailing industry for quite a while now. I think about probably almost coming up on 15 years, since 2008. She was editor of Professional Carwashing and Detailing magazine. And then in 2015, Jackson reached out to her and invited her to join and become editor of Auto Detailing News. So that's a little bit I got about her. Jackson, hopefully Jackson will join us. So I can get into that when he jumps on, or I can go over it now.
Well, I'm gonna bring it up Deborah, because I've known Deborah. I've been reading her name for a long time, and then I got to finally meet her, and I was like, wow, cool. I mean, it was like you see her name in the magazines, and then you meet her, and she's so down to earth and so cool.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she's done a tremendous amount. Both of them have done a tremendous amount for the industry. But when you see Deborah's passion, and you get her. When you're around her, you can see why she's successful, but she's really a believer of our industry. So I want to welcome you. It's really exciting to have you on.
Thank you so much. I feel the same way about you and everyone you work with. They've been so kind to me. They make me feel like I'm part of a family. So thank you.
Are. You've helped build that family, and in the industry, because we've become, we used to be, you go back 2008, we're a lot tighter and smaller and, not successful, and people were still struggling. We're kind of janitors, and we were coming out of that phase. There was a few people that were really turning it into, an actual, big time legitimate industry. But
right.
it was at base camp for all of that, when you met us, and you've done a huge. Now I got to tell you, I'm gonna go completely off topic. This isn't on our show notes or anything. Your guys' covers are like killer.
They are
killer covers. So kind of explain that. Who comes up with the ideas for the covers? Because they're killer.
I leave it all to Jackson. I share some of my ideas and they're always squashed. And he has this artistic, I don't know how he comes up with them. And they're all almost immediately. If I say what I think the cover story is going to be, he has an idea right away.
Wow.
And that's what drew me to the magazine, that it was so much fun. And we weren't worried about, I mean, we did the one of you about Vegas and we didn't think twice about it. And, you know, when you're in corporate America, you have to be a little careful about leaving people out and offending. And other people loved it too, that might have been offended in another type of realm. So we just, and we did you and Wizard of Oz as well. And we just know we're having fun and we're doing it for the readers. We're not doing it for anyone else, so they'll enjoy it.
I had so many. What the hell was it with Wizard of Oz? It's awesome. I was like, I don't know, but I like it. You know, it was so cool. It's a
little trippy. Sometimes I see him, or I don't know how they'll work out, but he has this mind that works that way. I'm a little more literal. I said, well, for the one where it was detailers around the world, I thought, let's do a world map and we'll have the people. No, that's too mainstream. That's too obvious. So.
Well, I think it's the first, you know, the cover of any book is kind of what first attracts you, right? And then what's cool though is you guys have got really good substance. I mean, there's a lot of good materials in there, and even the ads, everything that's in there. And you know, if anybody hasn't picked up the magazine, we'll go at the end and tell people how to follow it. But you need to get it, because every time it comes in, I can't wait. You know, and I've got a copy because Diane and I each get a copy, and I keep a copy. All the copies are on my desk; they all stay there. And then the one with me in Vegas is, I don't know if you can see it, but it's actually
that's a classic.
Let's see if I can get out of the way.
It's on the wall way back there.
That's probably our best one, I think.
Yeah, so it's funny. So
you know, real quick though, you know, fun fact that Vegas cover, that's what we use to make the Renny Doyle Podcast logo.
Yes, yeah, that's great.
So,
yeah, we all want to share. There's no competitiveness. There's no ownership. It's just we're all having fun. And what I like about the magazine is I'm allowed as much space as I need to tell a story. So it's not like Jackson says you only get 500 words for this story. If someone has a story to tell and it's going to go on and on, he says, let's make room, because it's all about the person being interviewed and getting that story out to the readers. So he's always said that's all that matters, is that we cover everything they want to cover and share everything we can. And he'll never cut a page, and he lets me, it's open-ended, which I love as a writer.
That's cool. Hey, we've gotten and I can't tell you what on the air, but off the air, I'm going to take and put an official invite out to you, because you know what? You're going to fit right into it. We're going to make it happen next year. Let all this COVID stuff calm down. But you're going to get an invite, because I think you'd be dynamic as all get out to get involved. And so when we get off the air, you and I will talk, and I'll tell you what it is, and we'll get working on it. So where are you out of? Where's home?
I'm in upstate New York, about 2 hours from the city. And it's a cold day here right now. So.
Oh, is it really?
It's 50 degrees and it's freezing. The sun's shining, which is nice, but it's cold. It was a long winter.
Wow. We had a mild one out west. We didn't have to. We had a little above average snow, but we got it in a couple of good whacks, and it went. So let me ask you so your background, you know, writing and so forth. And so what led you into this whole industry, in the car washing and then into detailing?
I was a journalism major, and I got out of college, and I had a few newspaper jobs, and somehow got into book publishing. And then those jobs were getting smaller and smaller, and I got nervous, and I said, because a lot of jobs were going overseas for editors. So I got out of that and got with Water Technology magazine, and which was good. I mean, that was great. It wasn't as many storytelling opportunities. It was more factual. And then the editor of Professional Carwashing and Detailing worked another row over for me and tempted me to come over to that magazine. And that was about 2008, I believe. And back then, it was a few people I could interview. One of them was Prentice St. Clair, and Bud Abraham was a columnist. So when I got this job with Jackson, Prentice was one of the first people I called and said, what do I need to know? Tell me everything, what's going on. And I called Robert Andre because he was president of the IDA at the time. And they gave me this Rolodex of people. They were so welcoming and optimistic about it. And then I flew out to Mobile Tech Expo in Orlando. And then it was at the Caribe Royale, I think.
Yeah.
And I felt so welcome there. There was an opening night reception, and Keith Duplessis, I sat with him and we talked, and then I went out to dinner it was Bud Abraham. It was, it was a great table of people. And I just felt like one of the guys, and I've not looked back ever since. It was the best decision I ever made. I had a preemie baby in the year before, and I said, I'm not going back to an office job. I want to be with her as much as I can. She was 6 weeks early, and I could not leave her side. And then, so Jackson, when he called me up, I said, absolutely, I can work from home and watch her grow up and make sure she's fine now. But it was just such a great opportunity, and I just love it. I love this magazine. I love doing it. And
it shows.
Oh, thank you.
So you got a front row seat to the industry from a really unique standpoint. Is that you see all the different manufacturers reps, product, and then detailers. And so your perspective is that the industry is changing a lot. What have you kind of witnessed since 2008?
Oh my gosh. Well, just the trade shows alone, I've noticed. So back then I would go to the car wash show, and it was a little group of detailing related booths. It was towels and after, the vending machine products, and not what it is today. I was so impressed with SEMA and the people there, and that it has a whole section now, and you can walk down the aisles and you're just running into people looking to talk to people at booths, and that there are booths as well. And it was so impressive, and that there's 2 Mobile Tech Expo shows, and it's so much easier to get interviews and detail. I mean, even here where I live in upstate New York, there are so many detailers. I have to get my van the interior detailed, and there's so many people to choose from. And it wasn't always that way. I was still dealing with having to explain to people that it's not pinstripes on a van or a car, and that it's more than that. And I don't have to do that anymore.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
We've got a great, the detail lab. We've got a great detailer, female detailer, that's in upstate New York, not far from you, so we can connect you to. So you have a great relationship at building relationships. How does that help you? And can you relate that back to the technicians? Because sometimes we're so busy, right, of working on the vehicles that we kind of, our relationships, some of us can be a little strange in that our relationships with the car, but yet the human connection is really important. So I know you've worked that angle really well and perfectly because you're sincere. So how are those relationships work with you, and what would you tell people, that are entrepreneurs?
Well, it's funny because I wanted to interview, I don't want to mispronounce his name, but Ivan LaCroix. And he said, well, English is my second language, so why don't you come out and meet me, and I'll show you how to detail your van, and I'll teach you. And I said, absolutely. So I dropped my plans, and I drove out to Burlington, Vermont, and met him at a detail shop. And the guys there they said, you're learning from the best, and he's going to show you, and we're going to follow along. And this is such a huge opportunity for us. And that I think that was 2018. Oh my goodness. That was so challenging. I don't know how you guys do it. The arm strength you need. He had me doing everything. The roof of the van, the and it took all day. I ordered pizzas for the guys. They were thrilled. And that was all I had to do. And they learned something too. They treated him like he was this wonderful celebrity coming in, and they could learn from the best. And I also had the opportunity to find out what you guys do and got my hands dirty. And I could not believe how difficult it is physically, and having to go back over things and check everything. And he had me doing I don't know what it was. It was some kind of product where you can look up close to see if it's a bug.
Yeah, microscope.
Yes, he had me doing that, and it's a minivan, so it's a huge surface, and I was exhausted. I thought I needed Mr. Miyagi to come in and like get my shoulder back.
I love it.
Every time we host some kind of training event, even like what we did last night, Renny and I are both always learning stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
All these years we had six professionals. It was kind of a verification course, and it was really cool to see each one of these take how they do things. I like to see people's movements and how they interact, and so when you do that training again, that's a whole nother level of your dedication, to the industry and working it. And it's interesting. Did you see the dynamics with the people and how they're interacting? And I don't think we would have seen that back in 2008. I don't think we would have seen camaraderie.
Yes, and that you can recognize people behind the scenes, as you can know their face and know their name. And these detailers at this shop in Burlington knew who he was and were so thrilled he was there. And it was such an honor to be there. And they learned things too that they didn't know from that training. And I know parts of the vehicle are changing. There's, the matte finishes now, so they have stuff to learn. And it was, I could not believe it. I got that opportunity. And I got a free detailing job too. I mean, it wasn't free. The labor, oh my goodness. I tried to switch hands and use the rotary buffer with the other hand. I couldn't do it, and I was exhausted.
A big part of what we train in our training programs is proper ergonomics, because so many people in this industry and 10 years later, they're destroyed. Their body's destroyed.
Right.
And you've got to do it right, or you're going to destroy yourself. And these young guys and gals don't think, they don't think so. They think they're they're super creatures.
Yeah.
But, even the most fit people, it can destroy your body if you're not careful. So let me ask you this. So major events, you mentioned SEMA, Mobile Tech. So what have you seen in the attendance is way up for detailing. You go back to 2008.
Oh yeah.
We didn't have a whole lot of, our first, when I met Jim Gogan's a good friend of mine. And we hung out with a really small crowd of detailers that we used to go to these events back in 2005, 2006. And I remember we would get like maybe 8 people together.
Mm-hmm.
And that was all that we could muster up. Now, hey, Chris, how many people were at our party this year?
The industry party on Wednesday, it was like what, 500 almost?
Oh my goodness.
It was insane.
It's changed. So can you see a difference in people's mentality? Are you, even from the manufacturer standpoints and even from the detailer standpoint, are we getting more sophisticated because we are attending these events? Do you think it's helping?
Yes, absolutely. I did worry when I first got the job, because I was going back to my professional car washing and detailing days, where it was a bit of a struggle getting people to interview. And some professional detailers didn't have websites, so you'd have to really ask around, and people would have to recommend other people, and you couldn't find them on the internet. I mean, the internet wasn't what it was then that it is now, but I was a little up. And then I went to that Mobile Tech Expo, and I thought, I'm not going to have a problem at all. This is amazing. There were so many people, and people were recommending other people. And Jim Gogan was really great. He actually walked me around at the 2017 show and introduced me to people, which was such a gift, because everyone's busy and they don't know who you are always when you're approaching the booth. And I didn't want to take away their time. And Jim would just kind of sneak me into the side and give them my business card. And I have a big basket of business cards of people I can pick from to interview from, and it's just there's not enough. I wish I could cover more and more and more and more in each issue, but we do 4 a year. So,
well, we call Jim Gogan the giant of the industry.
Oh yeah,
because he's very well known, but Jim's doesn't toot his own horn too much, and he's such an ambassador. And it warms my heart to hear that I didn't know that he'd taken you around. And let me tell you, you're privileged because we kind of know that Jim, when he gets to shows, can be he gets a little irritated if you try to hang out with him because he's got an agenda and he knows where he's going, and you can't screw with him. So the fact that you got personal time on the floor with Jim Gogan, you're 1 in a million because I can't even get that,
Yes, and thank you, Jim. I think I saw him in the chat on the side. I was so grateful because I'm a little the same way. I don't want to force myself and take up people's time. I'm a little more shy, so that was wonderful. And I don't want to come off smarmy like, "Hey, give me your business card. I'll call you." The double air pointing. So I'm not like that either.
Going back to when we first met, though, I think that's what made you, for me. I remember you standing there and I was talking to somebody. I can remember it clear as day. And you looked over and you were just patiently waiting. You're checking things out. You're fitting right in. You weren't like sitting there, waiting.
Yeah.
Is you were so, I don't know. It was very wholesome. And that people can learn from that is when I've pushed myself in a relationship. Sometimes you have to, right? But a lot of times when you're just professional and you are who you are, it works out pretty good. And you're a fine example of that.
Thank you. I feel like everyone was so busy, which was another sign of how things have changed. And I didn't want to take away their time either because it was just a mad hustle with the doors open and everyone had people lined up at their booths and stuff like that. So
I can honestly tell you, we can't wait to get back, right?
I know.
SEMA is that from Tuesday to Friday, I don't remember it. It's all like one big reel, on a movie projector just going. And it's great. I remember the days of going to SEMA and being able to kick it and see friends and, you could go off and talk and Jim and I go to classes and those days are gone,
Right.
And how blessed are we to have those days gone to where so many of us are just, it's so busy. So
exactly.
Pretty exciting. So Chris, this is some takeaways now. We're going to take in, we'll have Chris run us into this.
Well, I was going to thank you guys for being on today. The Auto Detailing News has been a great supporter of the industry and also us. We've had some fun articles in there. I think it was last spring we had a cool whole feature on the Detail Mafia and the founders of the Mafia. So that was really cool to see. So thanks for supporting us. Thanks for supporting the industry. And I wanted to tell everybody, if you want to subscribe, get it mailed out to you, just go visit autodetailingnews.com. And Deborah, correct me if I'm wrong. Is it free for detailers to get?
It
or
is.
there a charge? Okay.
It's free. It goes to every member of the IDA already. So if you're not a member, just go to the website and contact the publisher.
Wow.
Or you can write me.
There is a contact page on the website, and your guys' emails are listed there. Yeah. So it's real easy to reach out and find these guys. So
right on. So let's go into the takeaways. These are some important questions I want to ask. And it's hard to say because I just watched Warren Buffett. This first one is that he was asked almost the same question just a few days ago. Is looking ahead to the economy. Is that from your perspective? What are you seeing? What are you seeing for the economy?
It's been so. I feel as if the industry, the guys working in the shop, I don't think they've been affected too badly because the germ factor of the past year has been, just as a mom and who hangs out with other moms, we are grossed out by everything we've learned from the past year and what's happening with germs, and everyone is realizing how important it is to have a clean interior. So I think there's been a benefit in that way. And, look at Clorox wipes and Lysol wipes. You couldn't find them for a while. So everyone is definitely more interested in having a clean interior. So other than that, we've had it's been a rough time, not for the magazine. The magazine's doing great, and we're so grateful to our advertisers who have stuck with us. And I see things turning around, and that's my greatest hope. I mean, I don't know. I was raised by a World War II veteran, my grandfather, who saw a lot, and he always stayed positive and said you still put as much work into everything you do, no matter what's happening out there. And if something happens and you lose your job or you lose a client, you still have to put on a brave face and not let it get to you. But my heart goes out to anyone who's struggling.
Well, I always think I think we're heading in for some pretty serious inflation. Mm-hmm. We can see it. Raw material costs are escalating, pretty rapidly.
Yes.
So, our product costs really, labor's, the highest cost over anything. Mm-hmm. And so, really, I think if you put it in perspective, is this way: is that we could be in for some interesting times.
Yeah.
When Warren Buffett says that they don't know what's going on, and he's kind of like, I'm sure he's got an idea, but this whole epidemic has kind of changed things for a bit. So I think you just hold on and you keep your spending conservative, and you don't go crazy, and you just keep building relationships.
Exactly.
Building each other up, smile, and make your own life great. And it's. I miss seeing people under the mask. I miss the smile, the strength.
Yeah. Oh, my dog just knocked over my lamp. Sorry. I have a golden doodle who won't leave my side. He opened the door. He just opened the door to the bedroom.
I love it.
I have 200-pound labs, and the girl, she always likes to come into the there he is.
Yeah.
She always likes to come into the bathroom, and she shuts the door behind her.
Yes. Yes. It's crazy. They find a way. I've watched those hidden camera videos where you see what happens when you're not there.
Yeah.
And dog sneaking out. This dog does not leave my side. He's my shadow.
Yeah. Usually we've got 4. Usually one of them is running around me in the shop, but they all took off because it's a pretty day, so they didn't want any part of this.
I don't blame them. So, it's not a pretty day here.
What do you wish you would see more of within the industry? Is there anything that you'd just like to see more of?
That's a good question. I think it's just gotten so good. I don't know. I love the recognition it's getting. The Detailer's Dictionary. I was so thrilled that came out and it's doing well, and that my neighbors now understand what I do, and I didn't have to explain it. And I just think it's doing really well. Maybe more recognition from the masses, but it's nothing. And I think everyone's doing everything they can to make it a well-recognized industry. But even more would be great.
I think so. I think a lot of big attention coming our direction, as we've legitimized. I think there's a lot of things that have done that. The entrepreneurs, get this. We just had in the training before last, our level of educated professional coming in here is insane. We have an attorney that's getting into detailing.
Wow, that's great.
You don't have to have a degree. You don't have to, for a long time, but all my warning is that there are some people that know how to study real well, and they know how to turn things into things, and that we can't take it for granted any longer that it's just detailing, because it's not.
Exactly.
So any good piece of advice that you've ever been given that you'd like to share with the people?
Other than what your grandfather told you?
Right. Well, yes. And I wasn't solely raised by I had my parents too, but my grandfather lived with us. But I look at my dad. Now, my dad used to work for Troy-Bilt, and he was an editor for Troy-Bilt for years and years. And eventually that company went under. So he lost that job. And then he got a job at a book publishing company. And my mom passed away during that time, and he still went into work and put a smile on his face. And then he lost that job because those jobs were shipped overseas. And he just had such a great appreciation for a job, and went in, and no one knew what was going on at home with my mom being sick, because having a job to him, and I don't know if it's a generational thing, but it was a big deal, and it had to do with pride and being able to go someplace. And after being laid off from 2 jobs that he loves, he is still so grateful. And I try to be that way too. I'm great. I'm so grateful for this job. I try to show that appreciation in everything I do, and no matter what it is. And I've had some jobs that I hated, but you wouldn't have known it. I was a bartender, and I'd have to clean up after wing night, and I did it with pride. And I always said thank you to my boss, and it was disgusting. And it was all you can eat wing night, so in a college town. So I just try to always do it and be grateful. And I always thanked my bosses. And I don't think you can find a boss I've had that wouldn't say I wasn't nice. So.
That's in this day and age, I think it's very important. People have, I'll tell a similar story. This last weekend is I've had a really busy few weeks, right? Mm-hmm. Well, they have our local dump is doing free dump day. We've got property. So we've collected some stuff, and a lot of stuff from the people that owned the property before that we wanted to get off the property. So Diane she says, hey, I've got to go to, National Guard drill. And by the way, it's dump day. And so I wake up Saturday morning early. I'm tired. I'm worn out. And I go, oh man, I got to go, pile at least 2 or 3 loads into the truck and get it to the dump. Yeah. And I went out and I reminded myself, 2 years ago, we moved into our new property 2 years ago. And I was so blown away that we got it. And so when I walked outside, I said, what am I feeling sorry for? Right. I get to the property I love, and it was the best dump runs I've ever done. Yeah. Sure. I mean, I just got my attitude right, and right. Sometimes you just got to get your attitude right, and look at where you're going.
Yeah.
Being thankful goes a really long way. I mean, it changes everything, right? When you're thankful for the things you have, the things you've accomplished, the people around you, all that kind of stuff, it changes your attitude, right? It puts a smile on your face. But when you're thankful and you express that to other people, it does the same thing for them. It helps them smile and feel good about themselves. It really is a huge deal.
Amen. I love that. When my brother got here, my big brother came over to help me, and he got here and he's like, wow, you're out here early. He goes, I didn't think you'd be out here this early. And I said, I had to have a kind of reality check with myself. So I told him the story, and we got done. And he's like, I don't know if I've ever seen anybody so happy to go to the dump in my life.
Yeah.
And I was like, I am just so, it's, you've got to be, and to some people, this would be nothing for them to own, but for me, it's mine. And I never, the way I grew up, I never imagined I'd own all this, in a million years. And so I think, both of you've got the right, right ideas. So I think in the industry is, before we end this, is that, every time I see Deborah, every time I see you, what you do, you have a smile on your face. Here you are giving to us, but you're thanking us. And how cool is that? Because you're giving the industry a gift, and you guys do such a great job for the industry, but yet you turn around and thank us. Oh. I don't know if enough people thank you, but I want to thank you for not just coming on today, but you've been a friend you've been to us, our group, me, but the entire industry. And you're just guiding light, and you're such a positive influence, and you just need to be around us a lot more.
Thank you so much for saying that. That makes me want to cry. So
don't, because you'll make me cry. My eyes are getting sweaty thinking about it. but you are actually a blessing to us, and we are a better industry. A lot to do with what you guys are doing, at the magazine and highlighting detailers. Because let's face it, a lot of us, we never thought we'd get highlighted for anything.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Well, hey, how can people connect with you guys online? What's the best way to and do you guys have a strong social media presence or anything where you're updating things?
I did a Facebook page, and it's hit or miss. It's there's so much I could post, and I think about that all the time, so maybe I'll get that started again, but you can find that at Auto Detailing News. And then my email is debrag@autodetailingnews.com.
Cool. Well, reach out, and let's plan on talking this week about this event I got planned. I'd love to have you actually come out as a guest speaker. That's a little hint into it, and get involved. It's a really cool. It's going to be a cool event. We're going to put it on in about a year from right now, so we're going to leave ourselves enough time to plan it. And I think it's going to be cool, and I'd love to have you involved.
I would love to. I can't wait to start traveling again and seeing all you guys in person. And
oh man, amen. Right. Well, hey, stay warm up there in upstate New York. Thanks again for all you do. And like always, hey everybody, if you've enjoyed the show, if you enjoy seeing Chris's shirts, every day, every time we come on, is make sure to make a comment. Tell us what you want to hear or who you want to hear from next. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube, and we'd love to see that thumbs up, and we love to see your comments. So thanks everybody. We'll see you next time. We'll see you soon. You guys take care. Adios,
thanks,
guys.
Everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.